Hi, my name is James Orvis, and in today's video, we're going to be recreating the synth from Angelov's Retrida, which just come out recently on Diynamic. Let's have a quick listen first to hear what it sounds like. So it's really simple synth, but I really like it. It's got a really nice character about it. It's kind of like modulating in a way, and there's a few ways I found out to do it. So I feel like it's a mixture of a bit of synthesis and some delay in there as well. So it took me quite a while actually, even though it's really simple sound, it took me quite a while to determine the best way to kind of get that effect going. That sounded similar to the original track. So let's have a play around. So initially I've just set up the MIDI notes similar to the original track. So it sounds like this. So at the moment it's really simple what we've got going on here. And all I've done is set up a saw wave, and then I've got the envelope running to the filter as well. So envelope 2 is opening the filter like this. So I've left it quite open because I want a lot of the top end to come through, because the original sound is really bright. Bear in mind that we're not there yet, by the way. This is just the starting point, and then I'll show you what we're going to do to turn it into that sound. And another thing that I've got set up is, I feel like to get that sound as well, we should be using a bit of unison with a bit of detune. So I actually brought the stereo down on this because the original one is quite mono, but we can play around with that later, and I'll show you a few different ways to get that going. So yeah, we've got this basic sound. It's just a single oscillator, and what else have we got? I think that's about it really. And then what I wanted to do then is sort out the amplitude side of it. The amplitude, sorry. So then with that, we've got like a little bit of decay, a little tiny bit of sustain there, just to keep it going a little bit, and then the release as well. Because I feel like the original version's quite snappy, but then it does have a little bit of release going on. And so we've got that now, and then we want to try and get that similar kind of sound. So the way that I got it to work was 2 different modulations. Initially, I just went with filter modulation. So what we're going to do is modulate the volume, which is here, with LFO1. LFO1's running at quite a fast rate, even though it doesn't show it on here. It looks like it's going quite slowly. But we've got it turned up quite a lot on the hertz. And basically, yeah, what that's doing is just opening and shutting the volume a little bit to get this effect. So it's getting there, but I still felt like it could do with something else to kind of make it sound more like the original. And then what I found was that playing around with the unison detune, same kind of thing, same rate and everything from LFO1, but getting sent to unison detune. Now when I switch this on, it makes quite a big difference, I think. So now we've got that really nice kind of metallic ravey type sound going from the original. And as I said, I kept it mono, but what you can do, because we've got 2 voices there, you can open up the stereo. We'll keep it as it is because the original is quite mono, apart from the effects that go on the end of it as well. We've got no effects up in Pigments because what I wanted to do was use my own effects outside of the Pigments, which I prefer. So the first thing I wanted to do was warm up the sound. So I've got tape and channel from Slate, which I use all the time. You see me use it in other videos. This is just the first part of the chain to kind of warm up the signal. So we've got the tape set up and the channel here. And the next thing I did was something that I've been doing a lot recently on everything, which is to stick in a preamp and kind of drive it quite harshly in some instances. This one I've not done it too much, but then what's nice about these on here, like you've got the Hollywood, London, New York, and there's this one at the top. Most of them allow you to mix in some of the wet signal to the dry, so that's really useful, and you can also push the gain up with this knob. So with this, I'm kind of just touching it a little bit till the red light comes on. Just to add a bit more like realism and fuzziness to the sound. in a really subtle way. So these three work really well together. And the next thing I wanted to do was just to brighten up the signal a little bit. So what I've done is I've just pushed up 10K and 2K. So by pushing up 10K, it brings up like a slope a little bit on the EQ, and then we've just boosted 2K, which adds a little bit more excitement. So 4K for me. If you overdo it, it's quite harsh on the ears, but you can add a little bit of excitement to synths, vocals, and things like top-end percussion as well. So we've dirtied up the synth a little bit, added a bit more excitement to it. And the next thing I wanted to do was bring in PSP Spring. Now, this isn't something where I've listened to the original and gone, oh, there's probably a spring reverb in there. What I like to do is I like to find out how to recreate the sound and then just put my own touches on it, basically. Like, it's quite hard to completely recreate the original because they've just used different synths, different plugins, different oscillators, different effects. So the results are always going to be slightly different. Sometimes you can get to something which sounds completely different and it actually sounds better in some instances. Not saying that this one sounds better, but I'm just saying I like to put my own twist on things. So we've got this PSP Spring box here. I'll turn the wet all the way up. And this is just to add a little bit more of that kind of metallic sound. So just a really subtle touch of that going on there, which helps a little bit. So the next thing is my version, I felt like it just didn't kind of live up to the original because it seemed to have more release, but the release wasn't from the synth. The release was from a delay, I think. So what I've done is I've set up this repeater from Slate, and then we've got it on dots and we've got it on 32, so it's quite fast delay. And then what I've done is I brought up the feedback, so I'll just turn it off and then I'll put it on. So what I've done there is, as well, I put the spread on, so we've added a little bit of width to the end result. And then lastly, all we've got here is just the EQ. So with this, there was a couple of frequencies which I didn't really like, and I've just brought them down. So I'll show you what they are, and we'll bring them down. And lastly, we've just got this high pass. So if I take that off, you can see there's a bit of noise down here. Be too much of an issue, but obviously when you start mixing into a track, you want to get rid of some of that. So I'll just quickly show you the frequencies that I brought down. It's this one. A fundamental frequency, but I felt like it just needed taming just that little bit. And then we've got this one as well, which once I took out, I just really didn't want it in there. If you're on monitors or headphones, you might hear this frequency quite clearly. It's quite whistly, and it just bugged me. I didn't realise what was bugging me for ages, and then I swept through and found it. So if a synth sound's ever bugging you, just have a good sweep, and there's probably a couple of frequencies which are just kind of really grating on your ear. So that's it, really. I mean, I'll take these off now and quickly show you what it sounded like before and after. The processing. So this is before. And after. End result's quite wet, but obviously you would have to maybe rein that in a little bit once it comes to mixing. But I hope you take away this idea and maybe write something new with it, come up with a different MIDI pattern, and also play around with the settings as well. So the original track, there's not really much going on with the synth, it's kind of just that. But obviously you can do things like open and close the cutoff. With a different filter, you could add in some resonance, for instance, or you could do things like go to the envelopes for the cutoff, and you could open that up a little bit. So I've got this here. Close it, or you could open up the sustain and decay there. So, like I said, it's quite basic synth. There's not much to play around with there. But yeah, I hope you take that away and have some fun with it and see what you can come up with yourselves. If there's any tracks that you'd like us to cover, please let us know in the comment section below. You've probably cast your eyes upon these. They are coming up in future or past tutorials, depending which way we release these. But yeah, we've got some cool tracks coming up, and if there's anything you want us to cover which is not on there, obviously just drop us a message below and we'll get onto that. And also let us know if you're enjoying these as well, because we've not really done many of these in the past. But we're going to start doing a lot more because they seem to be getting quite a lot of good response. So let us know if you prefer these tutorials or if there's other things you'd rather us cover. Let us know that as well. My name's James Orvis. Hope you've enjoyed this one, and I will catch you next time.